Well, these two names have been mentioned a lot this afternoon. It seems clear. Everyone is talking about it. It seems done. If Florentino wins, which is the most likely outcome, the centre back would come on a free, and Dumfries would come in at right back to compete with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And for just, which really surprised me because he still has a contract with Inter until 2028. For just 25 million, they would be arriving at the start of the summer. In terms of signings, that's very good. Florentino hasn't announced them yet, of course, but since everyone is already taking it for granted, well, it's also a way to reinforce, of course, his candidacy. Come on, let's talk about this. Also about Enrique Riquelme. Jordi Wild, who was there, did very well, talked about topics, talked about Negrita, and he leaves this ready for whatever he's going to say tomorrow about his sports project. And finally, to reveal those names, that big star, which he says would be signed, and of course, the coach. There's a lot to talk about. Come on, let's get started. Welcome, Madrid fans. How are you all doing? Like I said, everyone is already talking about it. David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, after what he did to the kid, taking the Palacios news from him. But anyway, when it's being talked about so much, and what about Madrid? Also, the situation with Konate seems clear, right? He arrives as a free agent, so they would offer him 4 more years. One, and it's a bit concerning, it's not to be nitpicky here, which I've read a lot on Twitter, and I actually agree. It's the usual thing when Real Madrid hasn't signed a player, he's really good. And once they've signed him, we start to see problems and issues, right? But there's something obvious here that with Konate, we've seen better seasons, or seasons better than this year. This year, we've seen some rather strange situations, like being caught in the picture. But the thing is, he has the qualities as a center back. He definitely has the physicality. And then there are coaches who make you a much better footballer. If not, just ask. Ferran Torres and Ari Garcia, for example. Some might say, come on, no, really. So Flick came in and said, don't touch these guys. Boom. He made them much, much better footballers than they were. Even if we don't like them, whatever you want. But there are coaches who get the most out of players and make them perform at their best. And I think with Konate, let's see, he has a lot of qualities as a center back. And I think that Mourinho can, in the case that it is Mourinho, we're talking about everything. And let's see about what it's going to be. But he can give him that, and above all, give him confidence, right? A center back needs a lot of confidence. And look, we've seen an amazing center back for a while with Hauser, and then moments where it seems like he doesn't know how to play football either. What are you saying, man? The same thing happened with Konate. It's mostly about mentality and confidence. We're sure that Hauser is going to be an amazing center back, and the same goes for Konate, who, well, is a few years older. Naturally, we're comparing two footballers who are different ages, but especially since he came on a free transfer. Wow. And then the other one, Dan Dumfries, I really like him as a right back. Plus, he's very Mourinho, right? He is, isn't he? Not just because he came from Inter. Mourinho doesn't have anything to do with Inter anymore. I mean, since 2010, when he won that Champions League. But I don't know. I mean, as soon as we saw that Dan Dumfries was of interest, Madrid could easily pay the 25 million clause, which really surprised me. By the way, I thought this footballer was much more expensive, especially since his contract ends in 2028. I said, well, Mourinho, well, that's just like him. That's very much his style. Some people have called him the other Tintop, and I said, come on, no, please, please. This guy is physically amazing. You know, maybe, of course, it's because we come from Carvajal, from a prime Carvajal, not the one after he got injured, but we've had some really strong fullbacks at Real Madrid, right? Carvajal, Marcelo, and suddenly you find yourself with something different, but of course, what we experienced isn't going to happen again, or maybe it will, but some time has to pass. And in this case, I also thought I would think it would be a great signing. Put it there in the comments. And I also think that one comes for free, the other only for 25. Also, Victor Munoz, Nico Paz, and Hendrik, who is coming back, all of them for less than 50 million. Watch out. It's a really good way to start the summer. In that sense, I think Florentino scores a point, although last summer also got us really excited. And look, how the season ended, I'm telling you. But anyway, it's good in that sense. He'll have to counterattack in this case. Even though Florentino hasn't made these names official in his campaign, it's as if he had. Tomorrow, Enrique Riquelme, in that interview on El Hormiguero, I think he'll reveal the name there, because And another thing, and now we see it on Jordi Wild. He's moved well in the media, choosing his moments. Some people say, and we joked about it this morning with memes, that going to rack 1 means you should go to Gigantes, but he wasn't planning to. Then there's Jordi Wild. Even though he's a Barça fan, man, as a YouTube personality, he's very influential. And Jordi Basté, the one from rack 1, even though he's from rack 1 and whatever else you want, he's a great interviewer and a guy with a lot of pull. And, well, of course, this guy has no choice but to get out there. This guy has to move to make himself known, and he's making the most of the week. Florentino Perez, I almost forgot this afternoon, he announced this thing about the jersey. Madrid will give its members the official jersey every year with a badge that only they can wear. This is a press release from Florentino's campaign. It seems strange to me, the font, the headline, everything. I don't know. Well, maybe I'm just talking about the formal part. It seems to me like the headline is kind of stuck there. But anyway, that's just me. Sorry. Let's see, this is nice, but if the other day we said that what Enrique Riquelme did was a bit populist, I mean, here you have to use populism aimed at the members, that's clear. Enrique Riquelme started with that. Maybe if he hadn't offered that idea of the member city and hadn't focused so much on the members at the beginning of his campaign, maybe we wouldn't have seen this from Florentino. But they've made a video, which is very good, by the way, very well done, announcing that, well, Real Madrid members are going to wear a jersey every year. They're going to call it, it says our grandparents and so on. Well, honestly, the video is really good, bringing back Zidane's volley, Ramos's goal, and so on. The official jersey that Real Madrid would give its members each season, right? Each season, it says. Better not. Each season, it says. Right, it's the only one our players use, marked with an exclusive badge called La Socia, which recognizes the member. That badge is on the left side. Careful, because this isn't done by accident. That badge says owner. It says owner. And of course, this is for what it is, logically, right? Hey, they're telling us we won't be owners anymore because they want to take that away from us. If the partners had offered that from the beginning, would we have done this, Florentino? This is typical, the same as always. Some people are saying it's the only gesture Florentino has directly with the members, with something tangible beyond the magazine they always send you from Real Madrid. And your birthday greeting, which isn't tangible either. They send it to you by email, your birthday greeting, and what else was it? And for Christmas, is this the first time Florentino does something for the members? Well, look, if the election campaign has already served for this, at least, well, hey, the member is happy with his jersey and would also be happy with the member's city if Enrique Riquelme were to win. Well, that's it. One thing has nothing to do with the other, because, of course, one costs 200 million. Riquelme says he'll do it purely through savings, as he's already discussed on the Wild project. That he would take it from that corporate spending that Real Madrid does, which is almost 50% of the club's expenses, which is crazy because there are people there are positions, high-ranking positions at Real Madrid who are earning, many of them, more than €1 million. That's what he says. And that it's a shame and all that. I mean, he would take a bit of a chainsaw to it. And with those savings, he would build the member city, which, mind you, 200 million, not including, I think, the arena, because you don't include the arena there and you do everything for 200 million. But anyway, well, this is something Florentino Perez just pulled out of his sleeve, literally, because the members thing is going to be up in the air. And then, before moving on to Enrique Riquelme on Jordi Wild, we've seen this official statement from the Real Madrid Electoral Board in response to Enrique Riquelme's recent criticism, where he basically said he approached. He asked the Electoral Board, hey, can I have the electoral roll so I can send out correspondence and stuff? And, well, kind of playing a bit with what is always done, right? And in elections, in the political sphere too, they send you the envelope and the ballot, so the work is already done for you, right? And they told him no. Enrique Riquelme said this can't be done due to data protection law and must go through the club. So Enrique Riquelme said, well, okay, I understand and all that, but then he saw how Florentino had sent to each member. I have to check my mailbox because I haven't seen it. Very likely, of course. Well, the vote. And what else did he send? A sticker album or something? No, I insist, I haven't seen it. I check the mail every once in a blue moon. So no, I don't know, but that really pissed him off because he said, damn, so there's a guy here who has an advantage, right? which is the president, of course, who is still the president of the club. He criticized this, and the board of directors said the following. We'll summarize it. He says that he hasn't given the electoral roll to any candidate, that both candidates knew the official procedure to send information to the members through the club. All the material sent to the members has been processed following the established rules. The custody of the postal vote has security measures, and the candidates can have observers supervising the process. He finds the doubts about postal vote security concerning and says he is acting rigorously, asking for respect for his work. The board of directors therefore rejects the accusations of favoritism or lack of transparency and defends that the electoral process is being carried out according to the rules. And also, he appoints Enrique Riquelme, right? I mean, those doubts that one of the candidates has raised. And he even appoints him something that Florentino, for example, never does when dismantling Riquelme. I think he really dislikes him. That's what Enrique Riquelme referred to in his interview with Jordi Wild. Let's just play the part about the board, okay? That's what Enrique Riquelme referred to in his interview with Jordi Wild. Let's just play the part about Tebas, Negreira, and Laporta. But when he was rejected by Negreira and Laporta, but when Jordi Wild tried to provoke him a little here about transparency, asking how he feels about Florentino and so on, with these latest accusations, he said, well, look, I'm not going to lose respect for Florentino Perez. I mean, how could we not like him, director? He rejects accusations about everything he's done. I mean, he's continued to be elegant with him, but it's true that, well, transparency and the discourse have been going on for a while now, right? With the issue of wanting to privatize the club, etc. In a video, the board of directors denies accusations about the red lines, but today they crossed them. They should have done it sooner. This concerns Tebas. I'll play it so we can discuss. Hold on. The opinion is about transparency and that he and Madrid aren't getting along very well right now. If you were president, this wouldn't last. Just a moment. Wait, now he's speaking.
Board transparency and that he particularly doesn't quite connect either. Let's see. Tebas, he's the kind of person that doesn't get along very well. If you were president, would this change? Or is he someone who particularly doesn't quite connect either?
Board of directors rejects the accusations of transparency and with Real Madrid and with Florentino Perez, but it's very clear. No, you're not going to stay here, right? I mean, there's a significant mutual animosity, but it starts with conflicts that I completely understand, whether it's Florentino and probably dismantling.
Having said that, the board of directors
rejects the accusations differently. That's fine. It begins with conflicts involving Florentino Perez and transparency, and I think he'll claim it's being dismantled. Madrid has been harmed.
That's what you're looking for. First, that the board of directors doesn't. Accusations of transparency that aren't talked about much, but he does. Yes, I wanted to speak, and in fact, now that the situation is dramatic, but I had to make a note for myself. I'll be back. It's not being dismantled. If you invite me,
I'll come back to talk about rejecting accusations.
About transparency, and if you go out as president on the balcony, which is being dismantled, right? Infiltrated there?
He rejects Johan Cruyff's accusations, but transparency and dismantling.
Board of directors in the director's box, they're not going to, I put it hidden. It goes beyond any kind of reason. It doesn't matter anymore. That's the fight. But I think that when it goes beyond any kind of reason, it doesn't matter anymore.
Because that's the fight. It's with each person.
Already director?
It's based on whether I want to. He rejects it. He defends Real Madrid. I want more income because we deserve it. I want fair refereeing with the federation. I want this with the league, with that. Those fights are clear, and you have to defend Real Madrid above all. And if someone is trying to harm it, there is no limit at that point. You have to keep going. But I think that will...
That's fine. There is no limit at that point. You have to keep going. You'd have to see him doing that later. I think in general, you should never go to the point of breaking people down.
You lose your reason. Do you think you'll hurt Real Madrid? I think it's fine today. There's no limit to harm. Keep going. Would losing your reason hurt Real Madrid? It's fine. Limit at that point.
Well, the phrase is clear. Tebas clearly harms Real Madrid. Jordi Wild has clearly asked you about it. This is personal and it's affecting Romalo. And there's Real Madrid. Well, in our case, I mean, if the conflict has put me in front, you can see I have no problem standing up and being cool.
Not at all clear. I'm not going to hide from absolutely anything. I'm running. When Real Madrid's actions have been interpreted, I don't have. But I always try at least to go, well, with respect. And I think that's the line that clearly harms Real Madrid. People have always talked about the club's class, with respect, and that's being lost. Ultimately, the conflict involves everyone, as we've seen in recent years. The main issue is clearly Jordi. And that's being lost. And in the end, the conflict is with everyone. And we've been seeing it these last few years. The problem is UEFA, FIFA. Clearly, it harms Madrid, Tebas, the federation, the president who has been there, the press, certain media, the referees who call, those who don't call. The problem isn't me. The problem is other media. The problem is television. That's it. Yeah, that's enough. Now, they're the bad guys. It's not that. I was just asking clearly, they came to serve themselves. Well, cool. Okay, now they're the bad guys. No, it's that those from that era came to exploit Madrid.
He's already discussing Florentino Perez's comments about him and his candidacy, saying they're exploiting Madrid. I understand what he's saying, and it's true. I mean, when he says what he says, when the issue is already escalating to a personal level because there's an institutional confrontation, of course, because they haven't harmed each other. Well, let him say it. He hadn't said it until now, but since it's also personal, this escalates. The conflict escalates, and he warns, watch out. We can't be on bad terms with everyone. Honestly, there was a time when things with UEFA were intense. Since we had stirred things up with the Super League, which I always supported, and in fact, I think we fought against a giant, which is UEFA, and we beat them in court. We haven't been able to organize the competition, of course, but we've achieved something, right? But what I was telling you the other day about the Overton window, now we're friends with Zephyr and friends with Al-Khalifi. Al-Khalifi, sorry, but there are many of Florentino's yes men who now tell him very good, when before they used to say very bad. And me, what do you want me to say? I don't like those photos of Florentino with these people, but I can understand that after the institutional conflict on a personal level, and also because he must have achieved things, it's good for Real Madrid. Damn, well, not being eternally at odds and getting along with these people, as long as you don't give in and you've achieved things, be careful. So if tomorrow, as far as the league is concerned, this man were president, which I still doubt because I still think it will be Florentino, but imagine that this man remains institutionally at odds because he believes that Madrid has been harmed and Barça has been helped by Tebas. But personally, you can start building bridges of understanding, as has already been done with Zephyr and Al-Khelaifi. But mind you, getting results, well, it's better than being eternally angry. But it's true that Tebas really disgusts us. There's no other way to put it. In fact, it's even harder with him. Well, that's about the president of La Liga. Sorry, he'll speak later. Now let's see if I can find the point.
The difference is that I come to Real Madrid with assets, and my duty is to back it up with actions. I'm not sure I'll do it at Atletico de Madrid. I don't need to.
Opinion about Laporta. In the end, it's now. Those are enemies. But at the same time, I think, yes, I do agree there. I'm not talking about the financial side, but without a strong Barça, Madrid isn't the same. And without a strong Madrid, Barça isn't the same. I think they feed off each other, right?
I don't agree there. Here I'm speaking as a Real Madrid club member. I don't agree. I want to see Barça.
Would you want to see Barça in the second division?
Come on, please. I would love it.
No, because then the Spanish league would become a banana league. It's basically that since both teams have been winning for the last 20 and one has probably won 16 times.
I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'd be happy. It's not disrespectful at all.
And what if it disappeared too?
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I mean, well, that's the headline, right? Barça in the second division, and if it disappeared, even better. I think a lot of people from Madrid were expecting me to say this. I don't know if he's saying it now just to say, I'm going to try to take a stronger stance on this because I've done it very little during this time, because they've criticized me for it, because they've told me it's a red line and all that, or because he really feels that way. Any Real Madrid fan, after what Barça did, paying the vice president of the referees, he's about to mention it now, come on. But of course, I mean, I think here he's just saying what people want to hear. No, it's football history.
It's football history, but all I want is for Real Madrid to win. I only want Real Madrid to win.
Winning by default isn't as satisfying as beating the best.
There will be better players and teams, but these are just cycles and life moves on. Healthy competition and higher TV rights benefit everyone if both compete. That's where we all end up, right? We understand that, but out of vocation and also without going to help, right? Definitely not.
Have you talked to Laporta? Do you have any kind of relationship with him or do you not know him? No. If you were president, how do you think the relationship between the two of you would be? Because right now, I don't think there's any relationship at all. Would it stay that way? Would there be any approach? How would things be?
Well, you see, it should be cordial. One thing is to be cordial, and another thing is, for me, there's a concern, which is the whole Negrera thing. I keep coming back to the same thing. I'm not going to make it about you personally, Jordi, but Barcelona, its presidents and their teams have paid the vice president of referees for 17 years for a purpose, for reports. Jordi, do you really think it was just for those reports to check the club's rules, or was there actually some referee assistance?
I'm not sure if it's about referee help or money, but something shady is definitely happening. I'm not so sure it's about referees. To me, it feels like when you overpay for reports, maybe you're trying to move the money in another way. Also,
it cracks me up because this guy's a Barca fan and they're all about that. But like, I mean, you want to move money and you want people to get rich and all that. And out of 8 billion people in the world, you pay the head of the referees, right? Come on, it's unbelievable, man. I think now he's going to answer him properly.
If they were actually buying referees, it would have been done directly with cash, not reports. There are much simpler ways to pay, like giving a nice watch, a family trip, rather than doing it institutionally. Of course, almost. I think if you want to buy a referee, you do it quietly and give them the money in cash.
Well, more than a referee, it was directly, well, of course, it went straight to the boss, right? And there, it's institutional and it's done for 10 days.
I think they should investigate it. Let's see.
The other one answers him nicely. They keep saying that you buy a referee a watch and all that, but no, damn it, you actually buy the boss. That's how you respond to these people. I would have been more forceful than Enrique Riquelme, who I don't think knows everything about the Negreira issue. Enrique Marquez should be given a bit more information about that. And, well, it's not just the criminal case, but also this path they're now trying to take through ethics and so on. And because Barça can still be dealt with through UEFA and FIFA, and through UEFA, Florentino Perez is trying now. I think it's late, but at least he's trying. I would like, even though I don't think Enrique Riquelme will win, if he does win, in an absolutely imaginary world, I still think if he wins, for him to say, I'll pick up where Florentino left off. Of course, that dossier goes to UEFA. I mean, you have to go all out against this. Yeah, I lost it. Is it possible? No way, man. Let's see where we are.
Much easier than paying more. Just give a nice watch, a trip with the family, and give them the cash.
Well, more than a referee, it went straight to the boss, right? And then it's institutional and it's done for 17 years.
Let them investigate. I genuinely have no idea if it's actually about buying videos. Honestly, I don't think that's the most efficient way. I think there are much better ways that leave less of a trace.
He knows so little. It's a shame I can't tell this man, look, come here and I'll explain it to you. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Better ways. You buy off the boss and from the boss on down. But besides, it's explained in the judge's documents. It's explained in the civil guard's report. That's why there's very little explanation. I get that this guy is a Barça fan, but there's very little explanation of it. Enrique Riquelme should have replied to him here. If he knew it well, he's telling him. But he could have answered better. Maybe it's because he's at home and the other guy is hosting. That could be why he didn't want to go at him any harder.
And they let you do more or less the same thing. I want it to be investigated. And if that's the case, well, okay.
And I also want it to be investigated. But yes, but let's see. But ever since there have been payments from a club to a vice president of the referees, that was already not allowed. And it would have been sanctioned if the statute of limitations hadn't expired. That's it. That's where the debate ends. It's not presumption of innocence. It's certainty of guilt in the administrative sense. With a branch that could be ethics, which can still be pursued, you can still go down that path. And in the criminal case, that's being pursued, right? But many people fall back on that. Let's see what a judge says. No, excuse me, that's not how it works. But anyway, it makes me sick every time I hear people defend this.
Does he have to face consequences? You agree with me? Yes? You also agree Real Madrid only started investigating and pressuring after Barcelona left the Super League? No doubt. Before that, everything was fine? Yes, everything was fine. We'll help you with the levers. He sends his partner, second in command. Phil sends him to help, gets paid, saves Barcelona, and then everyone stays silent. There's a sepulchral silence. No one says anything. If asked, they'd reply, no, we need a strong Barça.
Well, here are two mistakes by Enrique Riquelme. About the strong Barça thing, Enrique Marquez, man, if you're listening to me, tell him no, that Florentino never said that, which is practically the same. But he said Barça and Madrid have to help each other, but he didn't say a strong Barça. It's important for Riquelme's credibility. And then the other thing, Madrid did do it. They appeared as a private prosecutor in the Barcelona Negreira case through criminal proceedings. That's another thing, and that should be distinguished from the judicial route, okay? But what they're doing with UEFA now is a different matter, which they could have done before, of course, because for UEFA and FIFA, the statute of limitations hasn't run out through administrative or ethical channels. It hasn't expired. They can still impose sanctions. If he specified that a bit more, it would have more credibility. I get his point, but he insists Madrid should have acted differently, claiming they didn't because we were in bed with them over the Super League issue. He also mentions that Anas Lagari, though not by name here, but elsewhere in the interview, was given the idea for the levers and so on, right?
But when you're out, it's about Real Madrid. Once you have the money and everything, you relax. And with the Negreira issue, nothing happens. Now it's all or nothing. It came out years ago when it became known, and it came out with everything. If Barça must pay and drop to the second division, I'm sorry for Barcelona fans, but you'll have to work your way back up. It happened in Italy with some big clubs like Juve. Juve was there, right? Juve was there. I think it was also a matter of corruption or match fixing, or I think it was something like that. Something like that, right?
No. Juve wasn't because of corruption or a betting issue. Juve was because of Calciopoli. It was because of those recorded calls where they were trying to get certain referees assigned to certain matches. But it had to do with referees too. I mean, putting friendly referees in certain matches to get favorable calls. There were no bets or anything like that involved. Damn.
Yeah. And I'll have to go through the embarrassment. Just like us, Madrid fans are now embarrassed for not supporting and not going all out against that issue. Barcelona should be in the second division with whatever penalty the law decides. This situation can't continue. But if it's investigated and discovered, of course, but it should have been investigated from the very beginning. So
it's investigated and discovered. It just makes me mad that these two, look, one doesn't know anything and the other, I insist, Riquelme needs to be more precise there. He needs more information. I know where he's going and what he's trying to say. That's fine, but he needs more information. And then clarify that it's not that Madrid didn't do anything. Yes, they did, through criminal proceedings. But it's about the other thing. It's in that other area where you have to press Florentino harder, especially using terms that he actually said and not others that he didn't say. But anyway, that's it for now. Come on, this has already taken me a long time. Hope everything goes well for you. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel. Please comment, share, hype up the video, please. It really helps. And I'll see you in the next one, which will be tomorrow. Bye.